All right, shalom to the 12 tribes. All praise to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father and the Son in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. Um, Brother Barzayah Judah, shalom, shalom, Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. To everybody on here who's maybe listening right now live and listening later on. This live is gonna be a little bit different than normal. Normally, the lives end up being 1, 2, 3, even 4 hours long until they cut me off. But today is just gonna be more of a little bit of milk for y'all on this first day of the Babylonian week. Get the week started off right since I didn't get to do a live yesterday. So I'm gonna jump right into it. The title of this is the parable of the talents. Are you a faithful servant? Warrior's Dream, Shalom, Mike. Right? Are you a faithful servant? So we're actually going to start in 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. And all these scriptures may be something that y'all have already gone over before, but it's always good to go over the basics. It's just like in martial arts, whether you're doing boxing, you always practice a jab, a cross, a 1-2. If it's in jujitsu, you always practice the same basic moves, and it's the same concept walking in this truth, right? So this is 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua Hamashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. So most high willing, this live gets at least one person or more to go ahead and examine themselves truthfully, take a look in the mirror, right? Maybe a dirty mirror, clean it off, look in the mirror and examine yourselves truthfully and see whether or not you are in the faith, right? And then it says, prove your own selves. Because just like I always make comparisons in martial arts, you have to prove yourself before you get the next belt. You don't, it's not just given to you, right? It says, know ye not your own selves. Do you not know your own self? How that Hamashiach is in you, except ye be reprobate. So we know that Hamashiach is the word in the flesh. And according to Romans, the 6th chapter, we are baptized into him, and he should be in us as well. The word should be dwelling in us. So we have to examine ourselves and see if we are in the faith and if the word is in us, right? Or if not, then we are reprobates. So the definition for reprobate, the King James Dictionary, right? The Blue Letter Bible, King James Dictionary, it says unapproved for the word reprobate. It's unapproved or rejected after testing. Okay, so we don't want to be unapproved by the Most High. We don't want to be rejected after testing. See, that's the thing about the Most High. He's a fair and balanced power. He's a fair and balanced God, and he will test you and allow you to prove whether or not you actually want to be living for him or whether you are going to choose the world over him, right? So the definition for a reprobate is unapproved or rejected after testing. So I'm going to read 2 Corinthians 13 and 5 one more time. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahweh Shai Hamashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. So if you're not in the faith, then you are a reprobate and you are unapproved, right? So this is Sirach chapter 15 and verse 15. If thou wilt to keep the commandments and to perform acceptable faithfulness, if thou wilt, if you will keep the commandments and perform acceptable faithfulness. So again, going back to the definition of reprobate, it's unapproved or rejected after testing, right? He'll test you to see if you're going to keep the commandments. He'll test you to see if you're going to perform acceptable faithfulness. See, Christianity and a lot of other doctrines and false religions and ideologies will teach you or have you believing that faith is just something that's mental. It's, oh, okay, I believe in our creator, and that's enough. right? But that's not enough. Faith without works is dead, right? So we have to perform acceptable faithfulness. What does it mean to perform acceptable faithfulness? We'll get that in just a second. I'm going to read verse 16. This is Sirach 15 and 16. He hath set fire and water before thee. Stretch forth thy hand unto whether thou wilt. So the Most High is set before us fire and water. He set before us life and death, blessings and curses, whether you will follow his word or you won't, right? And it says, stretch forth thy hand unto whether thou wilt. Stretch your hand towards whichever one you want to grab a hold of, life or death, right? So we're going to go into the parable of the talents in Matthew, the 25th chapter. And I'm going to read through it, not too quickly, but I'm gonna go through it faster than usual because, like I said, this is more of a self-examining moment. And while I'm reading it, just think to yourself and ask yourself which one of the servants you honestly think you are being or you have been in the past days, weeks, months, years, right? So this is Matthew chapter 25 and verse 14. It says, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. And straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and five made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. Verse 20. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? That's a heavy parable for those of y'all with ears to hear and eyes to see. Right? And Kanak, good and faithful, most high willing. That's what we should all be shooting for. Right? Moving in diligence, moving disciplined, moving faithfully. Right? So let's go back up. So verse 15, it says he gave one of the servants 5 talents. Right? He gave one of them 2 talents. He gave one of them 1 talent. Okay? So all of us have been given talents spiritually. We've all been given blessings. We've all been giving, it could even be an actual physical talent, right? And an actual a talent in this context um, was usually gold or silver. Okay, it was money. It was a coin, right? The Hebrew term for talent is kakar, I believe. Right, it was a little flat, round, either piece of gold or silver. So this represents something that the Most High has given us. It could be He's given you. Let's say one brother has um, one wife, and that's his 1 talent. Then one brother has a wife, and then he has um, 4 children. That's the 5 talents. How you deal with them, how you build them up, how you grow them spiritually, mentally, physically, shows how you serve the Most High, right? It could be an actual physical talent. Maybe brother's good at breaking down the scriptures, right? But he doesn't do anything with it, so therefore he's just burying that talent, right? There's some people that it's like not too long ago I saw a quote, right, and it really resonated with me. I really understood that because I was a part of both sides of that coin, where it said too many people with no knowledge that have enough courage to speak up, and they're always talking. And then there's too little people that may have biblical wisdom or knowledge, but they're afraid to speak, right? So in the end, it's like Sirach. Let me get it real quick. It's 20 and 30, I believe. Sirach 20 and 30. Wisdom that is hid and treasure that is hoarded up. What profit is in them both? So if the Most High gives you wisdom, you hoarding that treasure, right? Which that is wisdom. What profit is that going to do anybody if He gave you the ability to do that? Right? Some men are made to be teachers, some men are made to be leaders of their household, of people around them, other brothers, children, etc. Some women are good at nurturing, right? Some children even have talents that should be used for the kingdom's sake. Right? We're all a part of the body, and I've said this many times, and not to get off topic, because I'm gonna get back to the parable right now, but we're all a part of the body, and we don't have to be doing the exact same things. Not every brother has to be a teacher. Not every um, brother has to be the main one that everybody knows, or the head of a camp, right? The one that's posting scriptures sometimes, and he may, or maybe he reaches out to one person, right, and brings that person into the truth through the power of the Most High. That's just as important in the Most High's eyes as the one who's out there teaching, right? This is Luke 15 and 10. It says, likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of Yahweh over one sinner that repenteth. And that's red letter, right? That's our Messiah saying that. So by you bringing one person into the truth, all the angels in heaven are in joy, right? Over one sinner that repents. And that's something that we all got to keep in mind, because I know a lot of brothers coming into the truth when I was first coming into the faith, and everybody wanted to be that one brother. You know what I'm saying? Where raising a family is just as important as raising a camp, right? This is James 5 and 19. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death and shall hide a multitude of sins. So just by you setting an example, or answering a question, right, to a brother or sister, and that turns them away from their sins, right? It converts the sinner from the error of his way. Not only is it saving a soul from death if they continue down that path, but it's also hiding a multitude of your sins. Because the Most High seeing, okay, you helped one of my sheep back into the fold. I'm gonna forgive all these other sins. It says, shall hide a multitude of sins. Right. So that's just a little bit of motivation for brothers, right? But going back to the parable of the talents, it says verse 17 or verse 16, it says that he that had received 5 talents went and traded the same and made 5 more. Verse 17 says the one that had 2, he gained 2 more, right? But he that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. In other words, let's say the Most High gave you some type of ability, some type of blessing, and you just buried in the dirt. You don't want to increase it like the 2 faithful servants did, right? And that could be anything. We take so many blessings, so many talents for granted, right? I was talking to someone the other day, and then I had a study on it with my 2 oldest daughters, my son, and my rib the other day as well. Like, we all are blessed, or the majority of us are blessed with healthy bodies, right? We're all blessed with the ability to take care of our temples. We can walk, we can talk, we can hear, we can chew and eat and smell, we can touch, taste, we can work, right? For the most part, that's a huge blessing in itself. So shouldn't we take care of our temples? Right? I was talking to a brother about Psalm 101 and 3, right? Psalm 101 and 3 says, no wicked thing I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. So that's one way of taking care of your temple. Setting no wicked thing before your eyes. So one of my daughters asked the other day, she wanted to go see some movie with her mom, who is my ex from high school, right? And it was some movie, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was basically about an AI robot. And I read a little bit about it, and I just saw the picture of it, and I asked her, you think you should be watching this? And right away she said no. She didn't end up going, right? She's 15. But anyways, bringing that up because think about it this way: would you watch possession movies in your old church days, in a Christian church, in a Catholic church, in an apostolic church? Of course you wouldn't. Or I know I wouldn't, right? The Christian churches that I went to, the Catholic church I went to, the apostolic churches I went to. Why? Because they think that temple, that building is so holy. So us taking care of our temple, setting no wicked thing before our eyes, eating more healthy, not becoming obese, right? Exercising, that is something that we all should be doing in order to be faithful servants. Taking care of that talent, taking care of that uh, money, so to speak, that the Most High has given us, because that's one blessing that we all definitely take for granted, right? And like it says here in Sirach, chapter 30 and verse, I believe it's 14. Oh, Salaki, this is the Common English Bible. Let me get the KJV real quick. Okay, it's taking forever to load. I'm gonna read it. This is the Common English Bible. It's basically the same concept. It's Sirach 30 and 14, or 30 and 15. Salakia. Being healthy and fit is better than any gold, and a strong spirit is better than untold riches. No wealth is better than a healthy body, and no gladness is better than happiness in one's heart. Right? So there's no better wealth than having a healthy body, right? And that's one blessing, one talent that we all take for granted. And we all, the majority of people not only take it for granted, but they are not willing to grow and duplicate and multiply that talent. Right, this is the KJV, Sirach 30 and 15. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. So we have to guard our hearts and guard our temples. And that's something that a lot of so-called brothers and sisters in this truth I've seen personally, um, that they don't do. And then wonder why, they're losing understanding, or they feel like their light's being dimmed, or they feel like they're going off, or they can't stay on the right path, because we have to be not only taking care of the talents that we have, right, but we also have to be growing them. We also have to be in moving in acceptable faithfulness, and putting in the works necessary in order to be most high willing, be called a good and faithful servant, right? And like the brother said earlier, we have to be diligent, we have to be disciplined, we have to be faithful. This doesn't just come from just reading the scriptures. This comes from actually applying what we are reading, right? So this is going back to Matthew 25 and verse um 23. It says, his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. So what were the few things he was faithful over? It was the 2 talents. It was the 5 talents. How were they faithful? Were they just, okay, I have faith, I'm going to hold on to these talents until the end, until my Lord comes back? No, they had to multiply the talents, right? The man with 2 talents gained 2 other talents beside them. The man with 5 talents gained 5 talents beside them. He multiplied and grew, right? Um, Jiggy boy, keep me in your prayers. I'm still in the hospital after I've had an unexpected lung collapse after I woke up 4 days ago. I feel I am healing. Khan, let me ask you this: did you get the inoculation? I know a lot of people personally, and I've been seeing a whole lot of stuff about people that have been having respiratory and heart problems because of that. But Khan, not Khan. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, so this is verse um 25. It says, and I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. So this is the wicked and slothful servant, right? He said, I was what? I was afraid. I was afraid, so I hid the talent, right? This is 2 Timothy 1 and 7. For Yahweh hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Most High willing, this week I'm gonna do a live on having a sound mind, and that's one of the hugest blessings, especially in the times that we're living in. And you can only get that through the spirit of the Most High. It says Yahweh had not given us the spirit of fear. So when this servant was moving in a spirit of fear, verse 25 this is Matthew 25:25. And I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. The Most High doesn't want you to just possess whatever he's given you, right? Oh, he gave you leadership skills. He gave you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He gave you a good helpmeet spirit. He gave you a manly spirit that can help children and brothers and sisters. But you're just going to hold on to it. And you're not going to do nothing with it. And you're not going to grow with it. And you're not going to increase it. And you're not going to work towards a better temple, a better spirit, a better mind, a better environment, being more set apart, being more holy, striving for more righteousness. These are all things that we have to do, because if not, this is what you're going to hear. Verse 26. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant. Thou wicked, imagine the Most High telling you that. You wicked and slothful servant. That's not anything any of us would want to hear. Being called a wicked and slothful servant. But in reality, and I said this many, many times, right? A lot of people, even of the faith, that know of the truth, know who they are, even some people that have been baptized, etc. Um, don't they don't get tripped up as much with like eating pork or breaking Sabbath, the little things like that. Not saying that those aren't weighty matters, because they are weighty matters, but we know that the serpent is more subtle than any creature in the field, right? All these spirits are ancient. They're ancient, so they know how to get to us. They know how to be subtle. They know how to be sneaky. And the way that the enemy is getting a lot of people in these last days is just getting them to be slothful, getting them to be lazy, right? This is Sirach 33 and 27. Send him to labor, that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil, right? So the faithful servants, they put the talents that the Most High gave them to work, and they increased them, they grew them. But the one that didn't, he didn't only call him wicked, he called him slothful. And that's because when you're idle, idleness teaches much evil, right? Let's say you read a chapter today, but then you're just on your phone all day, right? You're just on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is, right? I guarantee you, you're going to spend more time seeing evil things. More evil things are going to be set before your eyes, even though Psalm 101 and 3 says, I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. But you're going to come across some booty shaking videos. You're going to come across dudes with their shirts off for sisters. You're going to come across things that are going to get you out of the spirit, right? And it says, I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes, because it's going to cleave to you, right? It says, I hate the work of them that turn aside, it shall not cleave to me. So not setting wicked things before your eyes is protecting your temple from spirits cleaving to you. Because I know brothers that I've talked to in the past, and they say things like, oh, I have a lustful spirit. Okay, well, have you looked at anything on social media today that could put you in a lustful spirit? Oh yeah, well, Khan, I mean, I'm not trying to look for it, but in my search, I'll come across, chicks in a bikini, or with their breasts all popping out, or booty shaking, or things like that. Well, there you go, right? You're being idle, and that idleness teaches much evil, right? Or it could be something even more subtle, right? It could be you're just I know a lot of sisters that have a problem with shopping or window shopping online, and you're just being idle on there. How is that helping you at all? And now you're just coveting everything you see, right? Or people that are just meddling in other people's business, right? The scriptures say, meddle not in a matter that concerneth thee not. But a lot of people get on social media and just going through everybody's business, right? And then before you know it, you're talking about them, and you're being a talebearer, right? So Sirach 33 and 27, again, it says, send him to labor, that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil. A lot of people don't realize that just being slothful is a very evil thing, and it leads to more and more evil, which is why, again, In Matthew 25 and 26, it says, his Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Meaning he would have got his own money back, and he would have got more back if he would have put it to work. Right? And that can just represent us. Let's say the Most High, again, just using a brother as an example. Let's say the Most High gives him some wisdom and some understanding. And it doesn't even have to be nothing too quote unquote deep. Right? One of the videos or the lessons that I got probably some of the most comments or messages about was when I did about the 10 commandments. That's milk, right? That's the basics of the scriptures. But so many people appreciated that lesson because they needed it, right? Any brother can learn the 10 commandments, learn what they mean physically and of course spiritually as well, and just break that down to people. And in reality, that would help so many people because many people don't know the 10 commandments. I've said this many, many times. You'd be surprised how many of your elders or teachers, etc., people out in the streets that are teaching and things of that nature, and you ask them to tell you the 10 commandments in order, and you would be surprised at how many people cannot do it. Right? But going back to Matthew, the 25th chapter, I'm going to read verse 26 one more time. His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strawed. The Most High can make anything increase. Anything. He lifts up the beggar from the dunghill and makes him to sit amongst the princes. If you would just put some work into whatever the Most High has already blessed you with, you'd be surprised at how much increase he could give you. But the problem is most people are too slothful and, according to the word, wicked, because being slothful is wicked, to make an increase, to have growth. So this is verse actually, you know what? I'm going to go to James chapter 2, and then I'll probably get Hebrews real quick and close it out with that. So you got to ask yourself, what type of servant I am being. Am I still in the same position as when I came in the truth? Right? I remember with multiple people coming into the faith or the knowledge of the faith, and they reach out to me and I give them advice, and they're that's what I'm going to do, this, that, and the other. And now it's months or even years later, even years after being baptized, and they still are in the same position, the same environment, the same everything. Nothing has physically changed, right? And that's a position that we can't be in, because that's a position of the unfaithful servant. So this is James chapter 2, and I'm going to start on verse 14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto him, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? So it said, if there was a brother or sister and they came to you, and it's like that storm we had on the 23rd or 24th of December. Let's say it was 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 0 degrees. If a brother or sister came to you, right, and they had no food, and they were in their underwear, and they said, man, I lost everything, I barely made it here. And you're like, you know what, shalom, shalom, be warmed, be filled, and you tell them to go on their way. Is that going to help them? Is that going to profit them anything? Of course not. Verse 17, even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. You can say you have all this faith, this mental faith up here in your head. I believe the Bible is true. But if you're not applying it, it doesn't matter. Right? That's literally the majority of Christianity in a nutshell. Verse 18, yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Right? So let's say you have two brothers. One of them says, I have so much faith. And the other one says, you know what? I'll show you my faith with my works. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to tell you. Now you have to show me without works. How you can't show something that is only mental physically, right? And remember, we have to perform acceptable faithfulness, like it said in Sirach 15 and 15. So that's just like a ongoing, I wouldn't even say argument, but ongoing theme is anytime I would speak about saying, it's a wise thing or a prudent thing to prepare for the times we're coming into, maybe get some chickens, maybe store up on water, canned goods, whatever the case may be. And right away, there's always brothers or even sisters saying, oh man, well, that's showing a lack of faith, right? But on the contrary, I would say that it shows your faith, right? Through your works. Because as a man, you have to provide for your household. There's laws, there's a law that says it, right? There's in First Timothy, the 5th chapter, that says it, that you have to provide for your household or you're denying the faith. So doing certain things shows your faith, right? Whereas opposed to not doing anything shows your actual lack of faith. So this is verse 19. Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. So it's good if you believe in the Most High, right? But guess what? All these devils believe too, and they tremble at him. So does that mean they get the kingdom and they get rulership in the kingdom? Not so, right? So that means it's more than just belief. Verse 20, but wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? 21, was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. And he was called the friend of Yahweh. So Abraham had to actually take his son and go and walk who knows how long, physically had to do something, right? To go and offer up his son physically. And because he had faith in the Most High, by that work, his faith was made perfect, right? And he was called a friend of the Most High. Verse 24, ye see then how that by works a man is justified and not by faith only. Likewise, also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way, right? So I would go to the actual story, but basically, when Rahab, who was actually in a whorehouse, right, and to they were coming to kill Salakia. My computer just froze up. 1 second. Satan cometh immediately, right? Let me read the comments real quick while that loads. Tavon Austin, peace and blessings to you as well. Jiggy boy, I was told I had a spontaneous pneumothorax, which means my right lung was leaking air, which started to shrink my lung. After 2 days of care, my lung has re-expanded, and I really want to be fully healthy. Khan. All praise to the Most High for that. Most High willing, you make a full recovery, right? The brother Barzayah Judah, Hebrews 6:12, that ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promise. Khan, Khan. That's a good verse. Um so yeah, Salakia. Let me go back to that. James, the second chapter, real quick. 25, it says, likewise, also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way. Right? So in the book of Joshua, Rahab had hid the spies. Um, when the Israelites had some spies into Jericho, I believe, they stayed at her house and they came looking for them, and she actually hid them so that they wouldn't find them, right? So she did that work and became justified by that work. So verse 26, James 2 and 26, for as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. Faith without works is dead also. I'm going to go to Hebrews chapter 11 really quick, right? This is verse 7. By faith, or I'm going to start on verse 6 actually. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So we all know it's impossible to please the Most High without faith. You have to come to Yahweh and believe that he exists, but you also have to believe he's a rewarder of them that diligently, consistently are seeking him. Seeking him is physical, right? You physically have to seek him out in the scriptures, and then you apply the scriptures in order to really get the lesson, right? Because like I said many times in martial arts, I could teach you a move, but that doesn't mean, and you can memorize it, but that doesn't mean that you really know it until you're able to apply it in a live situation. Verse 7, by faith, Noah, being warned of Yahweh of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. So, because he had faith, he moved with fear and he prepared an ark to the saving of his house. That's a lot of work, right? Seeing that ark grow over the years. And I guarantee you, as he was doing it, man, his fear and his faith in the Most High was probably growing as well. He prepared an ark to the saving of his house, right? Which you brothers that have families, that have children, that have a wives, that's what we all should be doing. Spiritually and physically, preparing an ark to the saving of our house. Right? I'm gonna jump down to verse um let me see, verse 17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said, that in Isaac shall thy seed be called, accounting that Yahweh was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Verse 27, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. So I want y'all to think about that one for a second. By faith, he forsook Egypt. We know if you look at the back of the dollar bill, we are in modern day Egypt, Babylon, all these places mixed together, right? All the captivities mixed in one. Right now is the time to forsake Egypt through faith, by faith, like Moses did. Right? He spiritually forsook Egypt, but he also physically forsook Egypt. We have to learn not to trust in Egypt, but instead to trust in the Most High. Right? Because anything, when you're covered by Egypt or have faith or trust in Egypt, anything that befalls Egypt is going to befall you. And I'll leave that up to the Most High to open people's eyes to that and open their ears to that. Right? So this is Luke chapter 13. I'm going to get a couple more scriptures and then I'm going to close it out. Right? This is Luke chapter 13. Kanak must be fruitful with whatever the Most High has given us to work with. He may give you 1 talent. You better be trying to double it to 2. He may give you 2 talents. You better double it to 4. If he gives you 5, man, you better be working to double it to 5 or to 10, right? Because he has blessed you with even more. That's like one of my favorite scriptures in Luke, the 12th chapter. And actually, we'll close out with that. I'll get that after this. But this is Luke 13:6. It says, he spake also this parable. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon, and found none. Then said he unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down, why cumbereth it the ground? And he answering said unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it. And if it bear fruit, well, and if not, then after that thou shalt cut it down. So as we read in Genesis and as we read in Ezekiel on the last live, many times the Most High compares us to trees, right? So in this parable, it's saying there was a fig tree and there was no fruit on it. And the owner or the master of the vineyard came for 3 years and saw no fruit on the fig tree. And he said, you know what he said? He said, cut it down. Why are we letting it waste the ground? Right? And then the man that was taking care of it, he said, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it. Right? I'm gonna give it fertilizer, I'm gonna take care of it. And if it still doesn't bear any fruit, then go ahead and cut it down. Right? At any point in time, we could be that tree that could get cut down for not bearing fruit, for not increasing, for not growing. Right? So this is Luke chapter 12. And I'm going to start on verse 41. Then Peter said unto him, Lord, speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all? And the Lord said, who then is that faithful and wise steward or servant, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. You're going to be blessed if you are taking care of your household, if you are being a faithful and wise steward, right? If you are giving them their portion of meat in due season, you're feeding your family physically, spiritually, mentally, or yourself, right? Verse 44, of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath. Right? I'm going to jump down to verse 47. And that servant which knew his Lord's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. We all know what the Most High wants of us. The majority of us, or the majority of people that are watching this, it's because you have some knowledge, you have some understanding of the scriptures, you have some wisdom when it comes to knowing what the Most High wants you to do, right? So if you don't do that, when He comes, you're going to be beaten with many stripes, many punishments. Verse 48, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. So the Most High is giving you, say He's given you 1 talent, 2 talents, 5 talents, right? If He's giving you more, you're required to do more. If He's giving you more children, if He's giving you more brothers under you, if He's giving you more wives, if He's giving you more money, which money is a defense, if He's giving you more wisdom, and wisdom is a defense, you are now required to do more than someone who has less than you, right? So it's a bigger responsibility. And that's like a while back I got bumped up to a higher position that I was at, and I had more responsibility. And then they were thinking of bumping me up to what's called an area manager. And my first thought was, you know what? I don't want that responsibility for the same, more or less the same amount of money, right? So we also have to be careful on what we pray for. I know certain brothers have prayed for, be head of a congregation or camp, or be have multiple wives, or take in a woman who has a bunch of children. A lot of times brothers or sisters won't know what they're asking for, and then the responsibility is so heavy on them that they can't handle it, right? Which is why in the end we have to be like Yahushai, and we have to say, nevertheless, let your will be done, right? Give me neither riches nor poverty, feed me with food that is convenient for me, right? We want to be whatever the Most High, wherever He wants us to be at, whatever His will is for us, that's what we should be asking for. And when He gives it to us, we should be doing as much as we can with it, right? We should be trying to increase, we should be trying to grow with it, because unto whomsoever much is given, much is required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. So whatever you're asking for, you got to be sure that you're ready to handle it, right? Because that's like a video I was going to make the other day. I'll probably make it tomorrow now that I'm remembering. Sometimes we ask for things and we think it's the Most High giving it to us. But in reality, it's the enemy giving it to us because he knows we're not ready for it, right? So we have to be very careful what we ask for, and always pray to do things decently and in order, right? And at the same time, we always have to be striving to grow. We always have to be striving to use our talents and be that faithful servant in order to please the Most High. And Most High willing, like the brother Barzayah Judah said earlier, Most High willing, we get to be called that good and faithful servant. But it's only going to come through diligence, through discipline, and through growth, right? It's only going to come through growth, stepping out of your comfort zone. That's something I tell people all the time. You have to step out of your comfort zone in order to grow, right? So he who has an ear will always hear. Khan, Isaiah 55:11, the Most High's word will always go out to who he wants it to go out to, and it's going to increase in whatever he wants it to increase. Khan, all praise to the Most High. So with that, I'll say, Call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, the Father of the Israelites, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, our Messiah, who died for our sins, Yahweh Shai. I know there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there falling for all types of doctrine, and I would pray diligently and daily to be guided in truth and in sincerity always, and pray to have the ability, the strength, the spirit, and to be able to put in the work necessary in order to grow your talents, in order to be called a faithful servant and not to be a slothful servant, because it's so easy to fall into a slothful and idle spirit in these last days. Right? So, with that, like the brother said, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah, to all the true brothers and sisters out there that are striving to live out the scriptures in truth and in sincerity and in humility. Much love to you as well, Ak, and to everybody else who's catching this now or later on. Shalom.